Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie and I am your astrologer, or I guess in this case your tarot reader for tonight. Thank you for joining me back at my channel. This is my Friday night live show that I do where I alternate Fridays. One week we do tarot, one week we do astrology. This week it is tarot, so we are back and we are doing readings live. So if you're new to my channel, welcome to Beyond the Veil. My name is Candace, obviously. I'm a Western evolutionary astrologer, a clairvoyant, clairsentient, and I'm also a tarot reader. And yeah, I kind of got my start reading tarot 14 years ago and have come back recently to YouTube and started creating subscriptions and more consistent content. And so I'm really stoked to be here because this is a great way to just quickly kind of get a vibe for my reading style. Also, if you have a question, a quick question, whether it's 1 or 3 cards, it's an easy way to kind of get a reading with me so you don't have to wait on my wait list. If you are a level 3 subscriber, you are somebody who gets a guaranteed reading with me once a month, whether it's tarot or astrology. So people like Paula, Nancy, Jessica Martinez, Catherine Murray, Angeli, Sam Norton, our recent members, also Phoenix and Susan Wexler. You guys are all level 2 or level 3. Emma's in there as well. It looks like, yeah, that's all my level 2 or level 3. So if you are level 3, you're gonna get to support the channel, which I greatly appreciate. It makes it possible for me to continue to create content for you guys, like my weeklies and my extra videos. Level 2, you get a shout out, and level 3, you're gonna get a reading. So we've got a couple people who have not gotten their readings yet, who are a part of the level 3 group, people like Paula, Nancy, Jessica, and Catherine Murray. So if any of you guys are here, let me know. I am happy to get started and do your reading for you today. Sorry for the delay this time, guys. I think I was planning on coming on a little bit earlier, then I moved it back because I was afraid I was gonna miss it. And then I was just like, okay, we're just gonna go live. So I might have to give people a couple of minutes to get on and be here. But if you check my code up here, I have a little scanner code for my PayPal. So you can reserve your questions by scanning that and you can send your payment to my PayPal. Equally, you can also participate in the super chat if you would like to get a reading. So either one is great. If you do send me a payment on PayPal, please let me know your name and if it's different than the name that's actually on your screen name for YouTube, because sometimes you guys have different names. And equally, if you do make a payment, just let me know so I can check that out and make sure that I get you. I unfortunately missed my weekly video this week. Apologies, my schedule's been kind of crazy all over the place. I had to leave town. I was dealing with a death in the family. So I'm going to be coming back and hopefully the next day or two creating a video for that impending full moon in Pisces. If you have not already been aware, that is coming pretty soon. So I want to kind of get ahead of the curve and get that going pretty soon for you guys. But equally, if you check out my community tab, you can leave recommendations or questions or ideas for new content. If there's something that you would like me to do, I am happy to do that for you. And yeah, like I said, we're going to be doing live readings here for a little bit. Hopefully people kind of catch on and see that we changed the time. Otherwise, this might be a little bit of a different kind of length video than what we usually do. So if you're new to my channel, be sure that you check out my links below. You can take a look at my social media. I've got all my handles on there, Instagram, Facebook, just to kind of see what I'm doing regularly or kind of stay up and up with what's actually happening on my channel, or just in my day-to-day life, or if you just want some fun memes. I'm not so active on Twitter. I guess I could be a little bit better about that. But if you have an interest in seeing other stuff that I'm working on or other things that I'm posting, whether it's about tarot or astrology, be sure to check that out below. I just recently got on TikTok too, so I'm sure I'm going to be on there pretty soon doing God knows what. I don't know. I started doing astrology police or astro police with my little tiny mic, if you haven't caught that, kind of letting people know what's going on in the cosmos and debunking some astrological posts and things that are on the interwebs. So that's been something that's been exceptionally fun for me recently. A lot of people thought that the live was going to be starting at 8:30, so I'm going to give people a couple minutes to show up and kind of come in. If you guys have any questions, equally, if you would like to join the subscriptions, don't hesitate to subscribe. If you want to get in on level 3, that's going to guarantee that you're going to get a reading that's going to be included in your subscription, and you can get that tonight. I'm excited to see what the cards have to say, especially considering the moon's moving into a conjunction, how appropriate, with Jupiter in Aquarius. So it was hanging out there with Saturn in the early hours. Now it's moving towards Jupiter. So it's a really great time for enlightenment, getting information, getting direction, gaining wisdom, especially when it comes to the bigger picture. Shadow. So Mercury retrograde is going to be happening later this month in Libra. Bit of a more challenging retrograde considering the squares that we're having to Pluto. So people who have natal placements in Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, it can be a really pivotal time for you. Equally, all of the cardinal signs anywhere really between about 22 and 26 degrees are kind of getting hit the hardest. This particular square with Mercury coming into a square with Pluto in Capricorn has us on one end digging really deep and trying to have those difficult, uncomfortable conversations that we don't necessarily want to have or are easy to have in relationships. And on the flip side, we're also seeing that with that square to Pluto, and it kind of unearths all of this stuff, all of this crap. It is trining Jupiter in Aquarius. So I'm reminding a lot of people that this month ahead is a really insightful time for getting readings, for getting insight. You know, Mercury with aspect to Saturn and also aspect to Jupiter is really helping us kind of plan in moving forward into the future and better understanding how we relate to other people. So if you are somebody who has like a cardinal sun, moon, or rising, because it is affecting angular houses for you, this can be one that's definitely going to bring up a lot more. Like when I think about Aries rising specifically, it's definitely going to bring up a lot of stuff in relationships and relationship dynamics. So whether this is like, I was married, now I'm single, I'm getting divorced, or I was working in this title and now that my title has changed to that. For who's the next? For Cancer risings, this is all kind of taking place and happening for you in your 4th house. So a lot of it is dealing with your home and what's going on with where you're living and whether or not you want to continue living there, or if you and your partner are on the same page about what's happening with your living dynamic or your family. There can be some family conflict going on. For Libra risings, for you, this is bringing up really a lot. A lot of it is about your relationship with your body, your relationship with yourself, how you're communicating, and whether or not you feel like you're kind of putting the past in the past. There can be some difficult conversations that you need to have about letting things go emotionally with the family, and whether or not you're going to actually kind of bury the hatchet in some situations. And then finally for Capricorn risings, you know, for you guys, this is going to also be kind of tricky because there is a lot of like balancing your personal power going on with Pluto in your sign, and a Mercury retrograde happening in your 10th tells me that many of you guys are going to go through job status changes, relationship changes, things like that. So just to give you an idea of like what's coming, because we're already in the shadow right now, a lot of what's happening really now until the end of the month is going to come up several times over again. So if you're one of those rising signs, or if you happen to be somebody who has some real key personal planets like 22 to 26 degrees of the cardinal signs, you may benefit from getting readings. On the flip side, we've also got this, like I said, this full moon that's coming. And this full moon is going to be around 28 degrees of Pisces. So in close conjunction to Neptune, which on one hand, it does dissolve and it does show us the more spiritual kind of meaningful aspect of life. But on the other hand, with the polarity of the sun being in Virgo, we start learning more about the physical and the metaphysical world. So all of the kind of, you know, not 18, but maybe 25 to about 29 degrees of the mutable signs is what's going to get hit particularly hard. So equally, if you're somebody who's like, hey, what do I need to know about the full moon? I'm happy to do a reading for that as well, because the full moon's going to be hitting, I believe, on the 20th. So I think that's going to be like Monday. So this is a good time during these squares and also during this full moon, where if you're wondering how it's going to affect you and getting insight into what you're not aware of, Pisces rules like the etheric realm and what we don't always physically see. It's not always tangible. So it's kind of an interesting time to have the sun being in Virgo and then see this full moon that's building in Pisces, because a lot of what's going to happen physically is as a result of what's dissolving or what's taking place for us spiritually, intuitively, in the dream sense. I think of Pisces, and it definitely has some kind of connection to, you know, metaphysical stuff, dreams, tarot card readings, crystal ball readings, astrology readings, and anything that may be more kind of Neptunian. So if you're somebody who is big into divination, if you're somebody who is big into tarot or, like I said, dream interpretation, the next couple of days when we are building into this full moon can be really, really, really insightful, especially today going into tomorrow, right before the moon starts moving into Pisces, and then we're moving into the full moon energy. So, you know, people have a tendency to kind of feel that build up 2 to 3 days before it actually starts. So you may already start kind of seeing the tensions rising in a way, or even emotionally, or just that there's a bit of like a funky energy or a funky kind of vibe that's happening. I don't know if anybody else has been kind of experiencing that, but I feel like this is kind of the beginning of ultimately a just totally kick-ass Libra season, coming up into the fall equinox, and when the sun moves into Libra and it begins its move into that sign, we start preparing, at least in the northern hemisphere, for us to go into the darker months and really start kind of reflecting and getting ready to kind of really, you know, almost like turning inward, or dealing with a lot of situations that really deal with how we relate to others, Libra. And this Libra season, if you've seen in my previous videos, I talk a lot about how the goal is to work with other people, to mediate, to find that balance, find that equilibrium. And there's a lot of air element at play. So it can feel very abstract, very verbal, very intellectual. And Libra, many people don't realize it's a masculine energy. So when we're dealing with, you know, planets in Libra, and I've been, you know, thinking a lot about what's happening right now with Venus being in Scorpio and having, you know, Mars in Libra. There's this mutual reception where, you know, you've got Mars that's hanging out in the temple of Venus, and you've got Venus that's hanging out in the temple of Mars, and the energies are kind of like haywire, and they're kind of going back and forth, but at least they're speaking the same languages, which is, hey, I'm not comfortable, so what can we change, and how can we find a way to move better together? Followed by what is going to be quite an extensive period of around 2 weeks of the sun moving with Mars, getting us very active and motivated, and you know, having to work well with other people and having to find that middle ground with others. So relationship, communication, moderation, being able to be a team player is the name of the game for the next month. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Thank you, Sapphire. Hi, Paula. It's nice to see you. Paula, you're one of my level 3 people, so if you would like to cash in on your reading, please let me know. I'm happy to do your reading. Same goes for Nancy or Jessica or Catherine if they happen to get here. I am happy to read for any of you guys. Hello, hello. Sorry, guys, I started early. Hope you don't mind. My schedule has been just all over the place, and I'm doing the best that I can with that. It has not been an easy week, but definitely it's helpful for me to kind of get back into work. Been a really interesting week for me. In I think maybe pulling cards for myself more than I usually do. So a lot of what's been coming up, at least for me, in just like general readings daily, I don't know if other people are doing this, but I've been getting the Hangman a lot. And I don't necessarily think it's just because of the full moon in Pisces that's coming. It's a lot of like the wait and see, needing to kind of be suspended, taking a break, reflecting, winding down, needing like isolation. So to me, it seems like there's a lot of this stuff that's happening. All right, Paula, I will definitely do your reading for you. Happy to do that. Just give me an idea. Okay, cool. You can send that question via Skype. I grab my phone. Those of you guys who are just tuning in, welcome, doing live readings. Check out the barcode or check out the links below. We take PayPal or Super Chat, $20 for one question, $40 for three. And we're reading these publicly. So if you have a particular question, I'm happy to read for you. And I start with my level 3 people first. And just waiting until I get my question from Paula. Friday night crew, it's nice to see everybody. So good. I like the moon Jupiter. I feel like it's definitely kind of livening things up a little bit before, it's like the calm before the storm almost right now. Those of you guys who are just tuning in and you are new on my channel, welcome. Happy to see you. Do let me know where you're tuning in from. Always happy to hear where people are coming from and kind of keeping in touch. We have like a pretty healthy group of people that come in. You know, sometimes we'll get up to about 30 plus people that'll check in with me weekly. Hello, Jess3. Welcome. So Paula was asking about when things are going to calm down a little bit. Things have been stressful in her world. Sorry to hear that. Hi, Lisa. It's nice to see you. All right, so let's see what the cards have to say for Paula and when things are going to shift. And if she's going in a more positive or calm or peaceful direction. All right, so these are the cards that we get for Paula. Hey, Nancy. Nice to see you again. Nancy's a level 3 member, so you let me know if you would like your reading. So for Paula, we have the Knight of Pentacles coming up, and this is matched with the Tower in reverse and the 4 of Coins in reverse. The Knight of Pentacles can be talking about your relationship that you have with a financial matter. It can be talking about financial news. It can be talking about an earth sign or somebody kind of coming in and having a conversation with you about something that revolves around your finances, your health, your stability, your groundedness. To me, it seems like you're having a hard time staying grounded, right? And for a lot of like fire signs or air signs, because we have so many placements right now that are in air, there's a lot of Libra energy right now, and there's going to be even more pretty soon. We've also got Saturn in Aquarius, and we've got the North Node in Gemini. So, air signs are definitely going to be finding, or air risings, that it's a harder time grounding. So for you, Paula, the Knight of Pentacles is talking about waiting on some kind of news, or you're waiting on some kind of financial matter to go through. It can be talking about an investment. Equally, it can be talking about you making a decision about where you're going, revolving your finances or even your health. Now, the good news is that the Knight of Pentacles is a card that talks about patience, perseverance, taking your time, really allowing things to kind of come together. And it's the most practical of all of the knights. So there is a tendency for slow and steady kind of wins the race. It might mean that you're getting anxious because it's taking too long to get this information, or it's taking too long to get the money, or it's taking too long for something to come through. Equally, if you're reading on news that involves travel, it does look like that it is coming. Look for increments of 4 days, 4 weeks, 4 months. But the good news is that I don't actually really see it taking that long. There's another theme that I kind of notice with these cards, and that's like holding on to something too tightly. Not allowing the energy to flow in its own way, allowing things to fall apart so they can come together. So that's what leads me to the Tower card, which is really the energy of Mars. And right now, Mars being in Libra is definitely an energy where it is more assertive, it's initiatory, it gets things going. And from what I remember, Libra for you, because you are a Gemini rising, is going to be somewhere around your 4th, your 5th house, right? And so where you're taking initiative with this Mars energy is, you know what, I can't control my kids. My kids are just going to do what they're going to do, or something involving children. They're just going to do what they're going to do. And letting the chips fall where they may. Okay. Now the Tower card, when it comes up, it's like the oh shit card. Like, it's never easy to have the Tower card. It's not a pleasant card, obviously. You see the crown falling off and the fire and all of the chaos and everything's falling. But at least when it's reversed, it's kind of saying, look, the shit show's already happened. The chaotic situation has already happened. The rug has already been pulled out from underneath you in the situation. There's nowhere to go up from here. So you have to almost get to where you've leveled the situation and everything's kind of fallen apart so you can really begin anew, right? So it's really talking to you about when Mars moves together, when there's some really strong Mars aspects. If you caught my earlier mentioning of kind of what's going on recently, because I was not able to do my weekly video, now Mars is in Libra, and there is definitely a great deal of energy moving with working with others. And we'll see more of that when the sun follows up. So for you, I think of the 5th house, Libra, your relationships with children, your hobbies, sports, your love life, passion. And it's interesting when the Tower is reversed, and it can kind of indicate that something is not like flushing out well, or that you're in a situation where you're feeling like you're hitting a wall with your energy and you don't have an outlet for some of this frustration. It can also be like, I'm fighting with my kids. I would say be active, be doing and working on your hobbies here, be doing and working on your creativity, be focusing on having an outlet for that energy. Also, like 5th house is about kind of like about your sex life, and whether or not you're feeling like you're getting enough affection or attention from a partner, and that can be an outlet. So then we have your 4 of coins reverse, which is also an energy of like letting go, releasing, not holding on too tightly. So if this is a matter of like finances and being stressed out about finances, or being stressed out about whether or not something's going to go through, I would say the name of the game is just reminding yourself on a regular basis, I am not in control of anything but myself. Whatever is meant to find me will, whatever is meant to pan out will, and I know that it's for my highest good, and I know that I'm solid and I'm taken care of. The Knight of Pentacles brings the message of saying, look, you've got work, you've got food, you've got health, you've got savings, you've got some stability here, and even in the midst of what's kind of going on right now, you are solid. Be mindful that part of what's coming up for you also is fear that you're going to lose something, or fear that something's going to be taken away from you, or fear that you're going to lose your firm footing. And I would say not necessarily. It may go on like this for the immediate, next 4 days, 4 weeks, but that you are coming out of a clearing. And there's definitely a lot that's being shaken up for you about your values, and what it is that you value, and what it is that you can hold on to. And so something that I would say that's kind of interesting about the 4 of coins, because it's usually a card of holding on too tightly or having really strong expectations or boundaries. When it's reversed, it's saying, whatever chaotic situation that's going on in your life right now is shaking you up to make you realize that there are some things that are very valuable that are not even things at all. It may be your health, right? It may be that you've got a solid vehicle and you can get out of town, or you can go for a drive and you really appreciate that you have the ability to do that. It may be that you decide that you want to let go of one, line of income to welcome another. It may be that you start practicing minimalism and kind of going like, oh my God, I'm realizing like I really prioritize and I really appreciate and value my relationships or my children. And it's shifting the way that you look at things. And so part of what may be coming up here for you really soon is a real focus on like purging and clearing and like releasing things, and either getting organized or cleaning things out of your diet, or quite literally like selling stuff. I know that sounds crazy. I don't think you need the money that bad, but it is talking about being like, okay, I can part with this, I can let this go. And there may be things that you have that are valuable that you're like, it's taking up too much space, it's time to release it. Equally, in order to receive, you have to release. And so because there is a message of something coming that is very valuable over the next 4 weeks, I would just really encourage you to focus on really looking at your value system and being willing to let go of things, because there can be a more kind of stagnant negative energy with the Four of Coins reversed, where you're in a situation where you're holding on too tightly so you can't let the new in because you're so afraid of change, okay? Sending you lots of good vibes through that whole process. Welcome to everybody who's tuning in and checking in. Nancy, I'm happy to read for you. Hey, Emma. Hello, Deanna and Aline. I will be with you in just a moment. I'm happy to give you a general reading. So Nancy, it looks like you would just like a general to look forward to during Mercury retrograde. Let's take a look and see what you need to be aware of. So this is for you, Nancy, in terms of what you need to be aware of for the Mercury retrograde. Interesting. So here we have the Eight of Coins reversed, the Judgment, and the Nine of Cups. Eight of Coins reversed can be talking about really focusing on building wealth, perfecting something in terms of your career, focusing on bringing more in, perhaps being in a situation where you may even find that you're being really hard on yourself, or that you're being almost like too focused on the details to the point where you're driving yourself crazy. Thank you, Kurt. And when I look at this, it makes me feel like with the Eight of Coins reversed, is this something that, you're not aware of? Are you not aware that you're being really hard on yourself? Are you not aware that there is some tendency of you being like too overly much of a perfectionist? Are you driving yourself crazy, trying to work, trying to find work? Is there anything like this going on? Let me know. Equally, let me know your sun, moon, and rising so I can see how this even better kind of applies to what's going on with you. But that Eight of Coins does talk about wealth and stability and, a job well done. So there can be this sense of like, okay, I want to find something, or I want to do something that feels fulfilling, but, I really want to be specific with what I'm bringing in. And the Judgment card talks about situations coming to fruition right now that require you to really need to make sound choices. You got two reversed cards here, and they're good cards. So even though they're reversed, it's kind of saying that for you to make better decisions about not only wealth and financial security, but equally what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, right? Because the Nine of Cups is a card that can talk about like overindulgence, emotionally stressed at culinary school, Virgo sun. Okay. So part of the way that I see this is that also, being that you have a Pisces rising, you have a ton of activity going on right now in your chart in your 7th house. And, you know, there's this energy of like almost like everybody coming at you, and it can be very draining, and people being very critical of the job that you're doing or the work that you're doing. And I feel like with Judgment coming up, it's like about choosing joy, right? And it's going to keep coming up for you. I definitely feel like this can also be as a result of Jupiter's move through, you know, Aquarius, and it's really kind of the setup for you to really wrap some stuff up before you have your quote unquote new beginning, and the energy really kind of changes for you in the new year. But for right now, Judgment in the Nine of Cups is kind of saying, like, don't lose sight of the fact that maybe you made the decision that you were going to culinary school. You knew that this is something that you really wanted to do, sticking it out, you know, and also equally, like, it can't be all work and no play, because I can kind of see where the Nine of Cups is like going out, indulging, having a good time, giving yourself a break, and the Eight of Coins is like working too much. So it's finding that happy medium between the two, and really, you know, making a conscious choice to find that middle ground, not overworking and not overindulging. Sometimes the Nine of Cups can come up. It's like you go so long without giving yourself a break that when you do get time, you end up going off on a bender. And it ends up being something where you overly indulge too much. You overeat, oversleep, overdrink, whatever. It also does talk about there's some room for celebration, that a lot of this is like perhaps coming to completion within 8 or 9 months, or that there's going to be some fulfillment, and there's going to be a reason to celebrate, and that you're going to look back and go, I'm really glad that I stuck it out. I'm really glad that I stayed. I'm really glad that I didn't allow myself to back down and, you know, not do the things that I need to do. With Judgment, I feel like, you know, also a lot of this is a result of decisions that you have already made, that a lot of where you're at right now is because of decisions that you already made. And I'm wondering, like, you know, are you working and going to school? Like, what's going on here? Because the Eight of Cups in the Judgment card is basically saying that you know, you don't want to find yourself in burnout mode where you're trying to do everything and you're trying to do everything perfect, and it ends up being a situation where, because of poor judgment of trying to overdo it, you find that you're not really kind of being as successful as you would like to be. Yeah, there you go. See, like literally 8 or 9 months. So it's going to be next summer. I see you doing that. I do see you graduating. I feel like, though, to be honest with you, that part of next year is about living your life in a state of like Zen and being more aware of your vision. And as, you know, Neptune and Jupiter come into Pisces next year, it's really the setup for wanting to live your life in a way where you're moving through things and you're feeling like you're more in a constant state of like meditation, or you're trusting your intuition, or you're just kind of navigating and like trusting yourself more. So yeah, obviously working full time and going to school is like insane. And what this is saying to me is like, you know, really think about how much you're working, because it may also take away from the experience, and also you may experience being burnt out on your career before you even finish. I know we live in the real world, in the third dimension, and we have to pay bills, and, you know, like I'm very realistic for planets in Capricorn, so I get it. But at the same time, burnout is very real for you. And what you're going to realize later this year is that there is also a need to reconnect socially and connect with friends. And you're going to see a lot of this at the end of the year, and where that can also help you kind of find your middle ground, where you're, you know, maybe you make a commitment to like see your friends once a month, and like that is that kind of letting loose energy that you need, and you know, reconnect with them and maybe even network with them or something like that. That's going to help you kind of find this balance. But I do think it's worth sticking it out. I just kind of feel like, especially if you're somebody who's working a job that the schedule is demanding, or, you know, that you're doing a lot of like physical work or stuff that's like very tedious, it's just like, man, you're really burning yourself out. So I would take into consideration, you know, long and steady is going to win the race here. You cannot continue to work the way that you have been working. Something needs to change. Hopefully that's helpful for you. I got a couple people in the queue, so thank you guys for being patient. I will get to everybody in the order that you reached out to me. Definitely got Kurt and Lisa and Deanna. Thank you guys. I'm going to hop on over to Anine. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Can you let me know? It looks like you just would like to have a reading for the rest of the year. I am happy to do that for you. And Dee, of course, I will be with you shortly. Still waiting on the rugby player to take you out. They like aggressive women. Just walk right up to them. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We got a Deanna and a D. Anya. Thank you very much. That's a pretty name. Okay, so let's see what you need to know as a general reading. I think you said for the next year. Anya. There's that hangman. I was just talking about it. Do you know your sun, moon, rising? I'd love to know if you know it. If not, that's okay. All in all, these are actually pretty positive cards, to be honest with you. The Three of Cups does talk about celebrations, unions, parties, happiness, coming together, joy. You know, the Three of Cups can literally represent things that are worth celebrating, right? And you being in a situation where it may include a team, or it may be like yourself and two other friends. It can also be about emotional fulfillment. Thankfully, when the Three of Cups is upright, it's talking about maybe your social life kind of getting back on track, feeling like there's a lot of joy and celebration that's coming. It can also be talking about you coming into a state, especially like around March of 2022, where there's going to be some major changes in terms of like what your personal emotional goals are. Cat, Moon, Leo rising, cool. So, you know, being a Leo rising and being a Taurus sun, you got your work cut out for you. There's definitely a lot changing in your life pertaining to relationships, and also a lot changing to your life pertaining to your career. I say this because you've got Saturn in your house of marriage and you've got Uranus in your 10th house. So with those energies, I see people go, you know, that's it. This is the year that I'm going to meet somebody because I really want to get married. Or, you know, I'm finally going to, you know, go out for that promotion. And so really what it's saying here for you is that there's a lot to celebrate. There may be more parties, weddings, get-togethers, all of these things that are happening. And I kind of get the feeling that you will be invited to also like go and celebrate other people's accomplishments. I know that sounds strange, but it's like equally, if other people are like, woo, I'm throwing a party, like I got engaged, or, you know, I got a raise, or I got a new title, or I'm moving. I want you to be in the midst of that, because to me, with the Six of Wands coming up, even though it's reversed, it is saying that there are going to be a series of small victories happening this year that may not be very public. They may be more private. It may be stuff pertaining to like emotional fulfillment goals, or things where you're just feeling better. Like, to me, it seems like the whole goal is to be focused more so on either your emotional or on your mental or on your spiritual health. And that just even getting out and doing things again and feeling better, if that's something that you've been struggling with, is going to be a big accomplishment. So take those small wins as you can get them. I don't know if this is a situation where you're returning home from where you were born, or you're visiting family, or there's something that brings you home, but equally celebrations on the home front, because this is a homecoming card, can definitely also happen. And so if you find that you happen to be in your hometown, or family's calling you to come and visit, or, you know, there's some kind of celebration, go. I'm reading your message. That makes sense. My best friend is coming to an end of a big project next year. We're celebrating that. Yeah, and good times are to be had as a result of that, not just for them, but equally for you. Now, Six of Wands can also talk about personal victories pertaining to your own creative projects. It can be talking about trips, travels, going places, especially during the summer months. And then the Hangman is coming up, and the Hangman is coming up reversed. So it's saying, you know, you benefit from taking action. You benefit from not isolating yourself. You know, sometimes when the Hangman comes up, it's like a moment of enlightenment, reflecting on things, like a spiritual kind of quest or some kind of a vision that you have. And so the Hangman, when it comes up reversed, it's like maybe a little bit iffy getting back out there. Sometimes this has come up for a lot of clients for me this year. That's like, I don't know how I feel about going to parties and stuff. Like, you know, I'm kind of anxious because of what's been going on with the pandemic. And so I would say to you that this screams to me there's going to be smaller gatherings and get-togethers, not necessarily super big ones, but things that are more intimate, so it can kind of give you that integration back into spending time with people. Do watch for behavior that can be almost like too much indulgence, especially being that you're a Leo rising. You want to look towards the end of the year where there could be things that come up where you have some unhealthy tendencies, like, you know, oh, I shouldn't be eating the chocolate, or, you know, I'm setting the intentions for the new year to start walking, or I'm not drinking wine anymore. There's going to be some like course correction going on with making some changes in your health and your daily routine that I also feel like is going to have a really positive impact on your mental or your spiritual health. And so be mindful that if this comes to you and you start realizing like, this is something I need to change, it's very likely to be happening sometime between December and March is kind of what it's looking like for you in this next year. And practicing something that's going to give you enlightenment or give you the opportunity to kind of check out, but in a much more productive way. I see the Hangman reversed as like, you know, keeping a healthy schedule with sleep, focusing on being able to meditate, maybe getting into yoga, and consciously working with Neptune rather than kind of spiraling out. As a Leo rising, you do have Neptune and Jupiter moving into your 8th house, which is about spirituality and also detoxification. So it may be a period of time where you really benefit by integrating some new spiritual lessons, clearing things out that may be toxic for you energetically, doing some kind of detoxing, and looking to really integrate spirituality and even, you know, like sexual stuff like Tantra and other things like that can be really great for you. So hopefully that's helpful. It looks like you have a lot to celebrate and quite a bit to look forward to with those friends of yours. All right, so I'm moving over to my PayPal. Thank you guys for being patient. I've got Kurt asking questions. I've also got Emma. So I've got Emma, Kurt, Lisa, Deanna, and then D in that order. Feel free to send your guys' sun, moon, and rising. Thank you very much for your love. Paying it forward for others in the live session. So how nice of you. 2 people can have 1 card or 1 for 3, whoever wants it. Well, that's very, very sweet of you. So Emma was nice enough to pay it forward for 2 people who need a reading. So I'll give 1 to Jess. Jess, you were gifted this reading by Emma. I will pull a card for you since you were asking. And she says, thank you for your time. I sure appreciate it. Any information that Spirit has would be great. Aquarius Sun, Scorpio Rising, Taurus Moon, Libra, Venus. So you are Scorpio Rising, Aquarius Sun. So I'm going to assume your Sun is somewhere around your 4th house and your Moon is somewhere in the 7th. And my, I bet this is an interesting time for you. Thank you, Emma. So let me give you a card. Being a Scorpio rising and, you know, your Sun in Aquarius and your Moon in the 7th, you're getting pinched with that Saturn-Uranus square. And it's trying to get you to make peace with the past. It's also equally trying to get you to think about your inner emotional world and what changes you need to make domestically or emotionally to be more open to love. So there are major transits and eclipses coming into your 7th house, and many Scorpio risings are either going to be meeting really significant partners, partnering with people, getting married, getting engaged. And it's not easy for Scorpio risings to go through that change because sometimes they resist change, especially if you have some 4th house placements. Equally, if you have a Taurus moon, which is actually really nice in your 7th house, it tells me that you're going to bring somebody in that emotionally is going to actually, I think, be really good and very kind of stable and consistent, or somebody who's willing to talk to you about like domestic stuff, or somebody who's just like a little bit more patient. So very complex astrology you have going on. Maybe a good idea to consider getting an in-depth reading. But until then, let's take a look at what the cards have to say for you. You certainly need it. Ace of Pentacles, great card. The card talks about the physical realm. It talks about money, finances, new opportunities for grounding. But something about this makes me feel like there's a lot of energy going on in Capricorn for you, and a lot of energy going on in Taurus for you. And I'm wondering, are you in a situation where you're wanting to move? Are you in a situation where you're wanting to invest money into a home? You want to buy a home? You have some kind of family support coming. It's a great card. I mean, it's a new beginning. So what it's saying to you is number one, you're grounded, you're stable, you're solid. Health and wealth are very much in your future. However, this is a card that talks about roots. And my friend, you have Saturn in your 4th house, which is dealing with your roots. Where would you like to live? How would you like to feel? What direction are you going in the next year? It's encouraging you to come up with a physical 1-year plan. You may find that somewhere right around, the winter months, December through like, let's say February, there is some kind of abundance that comes for you. Very possible. You've got Jupiter hanging out in your 4th house. So family could help you, make changes in your home life. Cool. So I would say then it's going to be about how you are handling things with your partner pertaining to home. And whether this is paying a house off, moving, deciding where you want to live, what you want to do, there is a lot of friction just in your horoscope between your 1st, 4th, and 7th house that it's going to be about how you're planning, I think, for wealth long-term in the future. Cool, so you bought a house. So it's, do we need to put money into the house? What is the value of the house? Are we gonna keep the house? Are we gonna live here forever? Are we gonna rent the house? How much do we spend on the house? These are things that you're gonna start hearing a lot about. Equally, the Ace of Pentacles can be a card that talks about fertility. So the other way that I would look at this is that knowing that Jupiter is going into your 5th house, just be mindful. That can be a time that babies show up, and when Jupiter goes into your 5th, it's definitely very spiritual. So it's like there's like a lot of like romance, and there's a lot more creativity, and like hobbies expand, and you may find that you're focusing on trying to make money in a way that's stemming from your hobby, which also equally can give you more resources to come in to make it possible if you are interested in expanding your family. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Emma, I'm going to hold on to that other one that you have for somebody, see if somebody else pops in and they need it. Hi, Lucas. Nice to see you. Let's see here. So I'm going to pop on over to Kirk. What do my guides want me to know about how I'm doing in my job? All right, let's take a look for you. So what your guides want you to know about what's going on with how you're doing at work. Okay, well, good news. I mean, here's the deal. Things are moving and shaking for you. This is definitely a time where, at the very least, to me, it seems like there is energy that is moving. It's active. You're keeping up with it. You're going as quickly as you can. To me, it seems like even though the energy can get a little chaotic, it can get a little combative, or maybe you're dealing with some people at work where there's some really kind of strong personalities. So you're an Aquarius Sun, Libra Moon, Aries Rising. So for you especially, being an Aries Rising, the next month is going to be really colorful because there's a lot of planets going into your 7th house, which is going to deal with how you work with other people. It's going to square off and put some pressure on planets that you have in your 10th. And it's teaching you how to be a team player. To be honest with you, I feel like if there are conversations that need to be had at work, they will be had, but they should go well. I kind of also feel like you want to guard against rushing people or being rushed yourself at work, because the 8 of Wands with the 4 of Wands is kind of chaotic, combative energy. To me, it seems as if like You know, people can be so focused on trying to kind of achieve a goal and they're moving very quickly that somebody makes a mistake and then people want to kind of blame each other. And then this blame game gets kind of intense and the Justice card pops up as kind of being like, well, people are going to get exactly what they deserve. You benefit from being in a state of not pointing fingers and accusing people of making mistakes or being wrong. You benefit from really working with the energy of your 3rd, 7th, and 11th house by being like, you know what, we're all in this as a team. We work on this together. You know, we're not going to play the blame game. Nobody's going to take a fall for something. And it's gonna get kind of intense. So I'm just letting you know this now, especially because Mercury going retrograde in your 7th in a square to Pluto, and it rules your 3rd and your 6th house. It makes me feel like you're going to have some coworkers around you that may try to roll you under the bus, or they may be somebody who doesn't communicate very well under pressure. And there's some team building exercises that kind of comes from these cards that kind of indicate like how can we better work together rather than just like hashing it out and having some like intense combativeness at work. You know, if the question is, how am I doing at work? You're doing great. I would say don't rush through things, and be mindful of taking your time, and also be mindful that you're going to deal with some people that are going to be a little difficult. If you're an Aries rising, certainly this impending Mercury retrograde is intense because this is a time to clear the air with other people. And if there have been issues with other people, whether it's relationships, work, what have you, or equally, you know, Mercury going retrograde in your 7th square Pluto, it's, you know, what do your coworkers or what do your superiors have to say about you? Keep your nose clean. Don't be, you know, bad talking anybody. I don't think you will, but I'm just saying that because a lot of the retrograde can come back to bite you in the ass. And you really want to be focused on being a team player. Equally, I think with the 8 of Wands, it's like saying like things are good, you're moving forward. It's fine if you encounter some difficult people, treating people the way you would want to be treated, killing people with kindness. You know, it doesn't mean that you need to just, you know, take it in the chin, but it does kind of talk about, you know, trying to be just and being fair. And, you know, there is a way to come across with the Justice card with being like, hey, you know, you fucked this up, but that's okay. We're going to fix it. This is how we're going to do it better next time, right? Not allowing yourself to get too like caught up in like the inner office like drama. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Looks like we've got Miss Lisa. One card for summer in Colorado or going back to AZ. Any love on the horizon? Let's take a look. So summer and going back to Arizona. So is your question, you've spent the summer in Colorado, now you're going back to Arizona and you want to know if there's love on the horizon? I just want to make sure before I pull the cards, let me know. But I'm going to assume that's what that means, that you are going back to Arizona. A lot of Aquarius is going back to Arizona recently. Temperance. Timing, healing, all in good time, things coming together, you know, on its own. So that Cancer rising is a little wild, huh? If you've got that Mercury retrograde, and it's definitely about going back and whether or not you stay there. And if you stay there for a long period of time, if you enjoy the environment, if you feel like you've gotten all that you need health-wise out of it by the end of the year. Intuitively, I also feel like because Temperance deals with like Jupiter energy, it's talking about what's happening with Jupiter. And as Jupiter moves or makes aspects, you know, now it's back in Aquarius. So it's wanting you to take classes, take courses, take workshops, to be connecting with people further away as this setup for really next year where there's going to be some changes. Temperance is also talking about being in a state of healing. Like you've got your foot one foot's in, one foot's out. It's like there's part of you that's okay, I want to see what else is out there, but I'm still healing, I'm still doing my thing, I'm not ready. So you don't really kind of come out of that until this shift happens for you in the new year. But I will tell you that because I know that you've got quite a bit of Pisces energy, at least I believe your Venus is. Venus right now being in Scorpio is not bad for your chart. Really, it's kind of the setup right now as planets go through your 5th that it can definitely bring opportunities for lust and sex and romance, but you may not see a lot kind of pan out until closer to about December through March. Equally, you know that you've got a Venus and a Mercury retrograde in your 7th house. That's going to be happening from December, January. I feel like that can bring back opportunities to move again, or that can bring opportunities for you to start thinking about where you would like to kind of settle. So I would say wait at least until Sag season for this to start to come together, and then you can make your decision. This card also is it talks about renewal, not just healing, but renewal. This is like springtime. You see the daffodils, which is about new life. You see that the sun is coming up on the horizon, and it's working with the element of air, and it's basically saying that until you have formulated a plan or communicated or spoken with somebody about something, there's going to be a bigger segue that is going to happen for you in the spring. Look for Sagittarians to be helpful because that's definitely going to be something that's going to start happening for you. Hopefully that's helpful. You'll have to let me know where you land. It's probably better to go back to Arizona. It's going to be too cold in Denver. I still am holding on to Emma's second card, so she has donated, and we'll give that to somebody who is in need. Those of you guys who are paying in the super chat, I have not forgotten about you. Thank you, Swats. Equally, Scarlet, I will be with you guys shortly. D, I'm going to get you, and then I'm going to pop on over to Deanna. So D asked, hey Candace, my name is Dee. Do you see me getting the legal department manager job that I applied for? I haven't had an interview yet, but I feel qualified. So let's take a look and see what comes up for you, Dee. Good news is I do see an offer. I do see an offer coming for you. My question is more so pertaining to not your experience, but your background, right? So you're saying, I feel qualified. Devil reversed can be an indication of breaking free from previous patterns, or breaking free from situations where you felt bound, or you had like heavy responsibilities, or you were stuck in a job, or are you currently stuck in a job trying to feel like you get out of a job? Is there anything like that going on for you currently? That matched with the Queen of Wands reversed. I could see this as a bit of a warning that's letting you know that when the time comes to go through the interview process, you may be dealing with a woman who's not so pleasant. You may be dealing with almost like delays for actually coming into the position. There can definitely be a situation where more of this pans out closer to the end of the year, like an actual shift or going into an actual schedule change. But the Devil reverse is coming out of restricted schedules or restricted places, or this feeling of being bound by your job. So if you're currently in a position and you're like, I want to quit my job, I want to get out of this department, I want to go there, it does look like, that's going to happen. Be mindful though. I don't know if you have like a female like superior or a boss or a manager. I don't know if there's like another woman around you who's equally trying to get the position, who may get kind of jealous, or she may kind of try to throw a monkey wrench into the situation. If you're applying for it and other people in your department are also applying for it, I would just keep it to yourself, because there can definitely be some competitiveness and somebody who can actually try to negatively aspect this. Yeah. But I do see an offer coming, and I see that because of the Page of Pentacles. And so one thing I want to know is like, do you want to stay in this company? Do you feel like you're not making enough money in the position that you're in, and that you're not being valued? You have to really ask a lot of questions pertaining to this position, because there can be a situation where they give you an offer, but they're not willing to match your salary maybe, or you may not get the raise, or you may not get the benefits that you think that you're going to get. Sometimes when the Page of Pentacles comes up, it's like, okay, we'll give you this with room to grow. And if your frustration has been that that's been happening, Don't have a female boss. That might be the job I applied for. Okay. Yeah, like just be mindful that there's going to be a woman that you're going to deal with that's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. And they may, you know, suggest, or they may say to you like, well, I don't know if we can give you that, but, you know, we'll see. Like, don't go from the pot to the frying pan. I see an offer coming, but you need to make sure that you're not like selling your soul to the devil, and not in a situation where you're taking a salary position and they're just going to work you like a dog. Ask lots of questions about the timing and the requirements for when you show up to work, how long you have to be there, what the expectations are, what the benefits are. Because I could see that, yeah, you're wanting a new job so badly, and you get this offer, but it's like there's still an exchange. There's still like an exchange. It's like, okay, well, I'm still not completely getting what I want. And it can be just a very overbearing female boss, or somebody who you're coming in to replace, and it's this person who's just, you know, she's been there for a long period of time, or she's back and forth and unwilling to leave the position, and you're kind of like, ugh, when is this lady gonna leave? Like, she just needs to go so I can finally kind of like move in there. So equally, it can be somebody who's a little unwilling to actually move and go on. But it seems like a breakthrough is gonna happen when we have planets that go into Capricorn. So look for that November through January, okay? And make sure that that offer makes sense for you. Make sure it makes sense. It's gotta be a fair exchange. Hopefully that's helpful. You got it, Lucas. I will get to you in just a moment. Emma, thank you for doing that. Lucas is going to take your card. Thank you, Swats. I appreciate that. I'm going to pop on over to Diana. Okay, so let's see what you asked me up here. Where did you go? Leo rising, Cap Sun, Libra moon. I've been feeling meh, whatever. I do have a boo that I adore. Oh, I love that. Leo rising, Cap Sun, Libra moon. So why have you been feeling a little blah? Let's see what the cards have to say. Certainly a bit of a retrograde over your moon is going to help you hash out any communication issues. Walking can be really helpful during the retrograde that's coming. Writing, listening to podcasts, self-help stuff, all of that stuff can help get things moving. So can like journaling, or even like tapping. You know, it's interesting because I feel like there's some static that's being kind of shaken loose for you. I feel like also this is going to be maybe you entertaining the idea of having like a short trip, or a short kind of getting out of town, or doing something just as a change of scenery. It can even be like a day and a night. Doesn't need to be anything crazy. Queen of Swords reverse is kind of indicating being in a situation where it's hard to find the words. It's hard for you to communicate, feeling mentally stressed or taxed or kind of frazzled. And finding that you can be a little like snippy, like when the Queen of Swords comes up reverse, like she's kind of sometimes, because she's mentally stressed or frazzled, like being in a situation where you're not communicating at all or very well. And when you do, you're kind of short with people. So be mindful of that. It may be a good idea to actually work with the element of air for a clearing. Doing that, I think, can be like really beneficial. So like, you know, working with like some incense, working with some sage, working with some mantras, something that's going to actually be consciously clearing that energy around you. So you're not bringing all that mental static with you. And going for walks, you know, taking a drive, things like that is going to shift things. And being that the retrograde is going to be in your third, right, near your moon, it's going to help you better balance your moods. But equally, it can be something that can be very meditative or self-help-ish, or something that you do regularly for yourself. You know, Libra moons, they need to talk and communicate when it's around the third house, in order to feel heard, or in order to feel like, you know, they're able to kind of get an outlet for their emotions. So when you have a retrograde there, it's going to give you the opportunity to pick up a new book, or pick up a new podcast, or pick up a new you know, routine for going on a walk and clearing your mind. And it's great to like go away with somebody for the weekend. So if you do have the opportunity to go away for a day or two with your boo, it might be just what the doctor ordered. And I say this because you also have the Three of Wands coming up. So it's like, I need a change of perspective. I need a change of environment. And that it's going to really help me focus on my goals. And so instead of getting frazzled, it's like, okay, I can't live and work like this all of the time. You know, what gives, what needs to change about my thoughts and how I communicate and my mannerisms so I don't get to this point. And what you're going to learn with that retrograde over your moon is learning how to say no, learning to tell people, I'm sorry, I can't right now, or coming up with a habit where, you know, you decide, you know what, Sundays, my phone's off. I'm not answering it. I'm not interacting with people on social media. I need to be better about boundaries and really shutting my energy down and being really focused. So I definitely feel like, you know, there's something that's shifting. The Hierophant makes me feel like that maybe you're becoming a mentor, or there's something that's going to happen where you start guiding other people. I have a podcast and I'm doing mindfulness circles for people. Cool. So in a way, you know, and that's like the funny thing is like spirit doesn't screw around, right? Like when you start doing that stuff, like you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. So if you are in a position of, okay, I'm giving advice, or I have a podcast, or I'm writing, you know, a blog, or I'm working on these circles, you yourself have to be able to do this work in order for that to fully function. And so I believe that the Hierophant is great because it says that people are going to be coming to you and talking to you and asking for advice. And there's this shift and this segue that's happening about how you go about talking to people, about how you handle things too. And it's cool to be able to like be somebody who's either a teacher or a mentor or somebody who's holding space for other people. And be able to relate. At least for me, I have found that being relatable oftentimes is something that's really going to help and kind of get the point across better, rather than being like I'm, you know, super spiritual, I never make any mistakes, like I've got it all handled. There's something very relatable to people who you're going to be talking to and dealing with very soon. And sharing even that you yourself have been kind of frustrated and what you've been working through and what's worked for you. And sharing that with other people seems to be like something that's like a huge shift or a segue. You yourself may find yourself checking in with somebody and getting some insight. This can be like a mentor, a teacher, a doctor, a therapist, an advisor, a lawyer, somebody who's going to basically start talking to you about being like, okay, no, how do we bring your stuff in? So it does look like that's coming for you as well. Hopefully that's helpful, and that's going to kind of help you kind of get some of this kind of funk out. Definitely work with the element of air to just start mentally clearing it. Okay, so I know we've got SWAT, and I know that Emma has donated, so I'm going to give the reading to Lucas. Lucas, ask me your question. You're on deck, you're next. I'm going to read for SWAT, and we are calling last call. You guys want to get a reading in, go ahead and get it now. Those of you guys who are new to my channel, thank you for joining. Those of you guys who are returns, it's nice to see you. So let's see here for SWATs. Should I apply for a new job or stay put? Also, Virgo male friend is ghosting me at the moment, gone quiet. Let's take a look. All right, SWATs. So do you apply for a new job or stay put? And anything that comes up about the Virgo ghosting you. Virgos and Virgo risings are doing that right now, some of them, because of the oppositions to Neptune. So they're needing to take a step back, reevaluate, give people space. So do you apply for the new job or do you stay put? This is for you SWATs. Here's the question. Are you really ready to leave your current position? Are you really ready to leave? Please let me know. Because in my opinion, it's like, you know, the writing's on the wall. You already know that you would like to make a change. The question is that if you apply for something and if you go to take a new job or a new position, are you prepared? Are you ready to immediately make a change? Are you ready to take the initiative to walk away? Four of Swords is kind of like, I'm burnt out on the situation. I need rest. I need a break. And I'm wondering, is this a matter of changing jobs, or are you actually burnt out in what you've been doing, or do you need to take a temporary break or a rest? Part of me feels inclined to tell you that This also talks about not putting a bandage on a broken arm. So it's like, you know, if you're in one occupation and you know you're burnt out doing that thing for a living, and you're like, I'm just gonna go and find another job somewhere else, is that really fixing the problem? That's really what I wonder. Equally, do you need to take a couple of days to think about it and really kind of rest up and reconsider before making the decision that you're going to go? Because this seems kind of like mentally taxed, and this seems like emotionally, you know, you are like, okay, I'm out of here, but are you overreacting? The good news is that the Emperor does talk about Mars energy, taking initiative, taking the power back. You know, if you want to go out and get the job, you go out and get a new job. If you want to make a change, you make the change. It's empowering you. So you may want to look at where Aries is in your chart, or where the full moon in Aries is. That's going to be coming pretty soon. That's not this full moon, but the next one. That's going to be next month. And on the flip side, it's like, if you do go applying for new positions, if somebody says, yes, we're going to give you the job, are you really prepared to be like, oh shit, I'm giving notice and I'm leaving like in a week? Because it seems like it'll be something that will happen very quickly. I'd like you to really rest and think about it. I'm a big, now that I work for myself, and I've worked for myself for like the last, really 8 years, I work harder than I think I did for anybody else, but I'm a big believer in like mental health days. So I look at this card of the Four of Swords, and I kind of feel like, you know, do you call in a mental health day on a Thursday, Friday, and do you take a 4-day weekend to just sleep in, rest, recuperate, really think about it, and then ask yourself, do I really want to go? And because the Eight of Cups is coming up, saying you're going to go inevitably anyway, there is going to be a change, but it's when you feel like energetically you're ready. And I almost wonder, are you really ready to do this right now? If you potentially get thrown into something where you start something new and you don't get a break in between, right? Equally, the Four of Swords can be talking about a situation where you're like, you know, this is like a dead end, or it's not active enough, or what have you. It's saying also sometimes the grass is not always greener. If you're in a situation where you're working and you're doing something where it's not that it's easy, but it's like you have the feel for it. You know, it's something that you have become accustomed to doing. You're in the flow of whatever it is that you're doing, and then you leave and you get thrown into another situation. Then you may really have to seriously work. So it's also about looking at the situation and asking yourself, do you really want to make that change right now? Does it make sense to kind of like strategize and get ready to make a change, but making a change in the new year and not doing it yet, right? Look for something to happen around that full moon in Aries. Something is coming, because the Emperor card is kind of indicating like by then that's when you're going to be more likely to make a decision. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Take that 4-day weekend. Fuck your job. All right, let's go and read for Lucas, my friend. Am I on the right track with this 33-day ritual I've been practicing? Is there something I'm missing more that I can do? Thank you, Emma, for donating to Lucas Bear. He appreciates it. And Scarlett, you're going to be next. Don't worry, I did not forget about you. So let's take a look at what the cards say for Lucas. Perfect. So then, yeah, I mean, I would say swats. It looks like you're going to make that change either way. All right, so let's see. Lucas has a 33-day ritual that he's been practicing. Is he on the right track? Queen of Wands reversed. I would say don't get frustrated with not having immediate, you know, like results. It's going to take time, okay? So to me, it seems like with the Queen of Wands reversed, you're focusing on channeling your inner energies and how you can change your inner power or your drive or your passion or your creativity, and you're pushing it outward. So there is some need for you to be working more internally and not like reacting. Oh, happy belated birthday. Also, like, you're having your birthday when Neptune's in opposition to your sun, so it's meant to be kind of softening the ego a little bit, or it's meant to be kind of making you a little bit more of some kind of spiritual shift. Like, I love the sun in opposition to Neptune because it's like all the angels come out and the clouds part, and then you can see the sun and you're like, ah, I found the answer. I found the solution. But with Queen of Wands reversed, it can be talking about being in a situation where you're getting frustrated because you're not getting immediate results. You're getting frustrated because you're not kind of seeing it happen quite yet. Remember that if you're doing anything ritually or magic-wise, you know, any good mage would tell you, you want to throw that energy out into the universe and then you want to forget about it. Well, I'm not telling you to forget about your ritual, but it's just like, I'm detached from the result. I just know I'm going to keep telling the universe that this is what's going to happen. And if you do that long enough and you're detached from when it happens, it just happens magically. So what's cool about this card is you have like, you know, this like little black cat and sunflowers and all of these like energies that are pertaining to your intuition, your passion, in the element of fire. So it might be good for you to integrate fire. And whether that's envisioning fire, working with golds or reds or oranges, whether this is a period of time where you actually need to call on, you know, the element of fire and be, you know, working with the south and facing the south and things like that. But there seems to be some energy of like bringing back that inner like warrior and like really working with that and transforming what may be you getting angry into using your passion as kind of like the vehicle for getting stuff done. So work more with fire. If you're doing ancestral work, tobacco, sweetgrass, alcohol, water glasses, flowers, chalices. These are all things that are really great for ancestral work. And you're a Cap Moon, so something else that can be a good offering, especially for ancestors, is working with like grandmother energies, giving offerings to grandmothers, working with bones and other things like that. Like I've got a lot of Cap placements and I always have animal bones and skulls and goat horns and all kinds of things that are on my altars as offerings, symbolic literally of the ancestors. So there is a little bit of some spiritual advice. Pyrite and candles, sure. Pyrite's going to be more so like for abundance. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but part of having that relationship with ancestors is not always asking, because if we're knocking at the door, we're asking for things without consistently ritualizing and giving offerings. It doesn't always work in our favor, right? Like Spirit's always there to support us. Ancestors are always there to support us. But, you know, I've gotten into the habit of, I've always got flowers. I've always got cards and crystals and offerings and sometimes alcohol and food and other things that I'll put out to represent all of those elements. Offerings are so important. And it doesn't always have to be things. It can also be putting out things that they enjoyed when they were alive. If there's like a certain type of cake that they liked, or if you know that, you know, grandma really liked to smoke cigarettes, or you know that she, you know, had this like handkerchief that she kept all the time. These are also things that you can kind of put out to make them feel welcome, because an altar space is space for spirit. It's to make them feel at home, to help contain. So hopefully that is helpful. All right, so we have got up here, Scarlett, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Your question is, I just got my Reiki certification for levels 1 and 2. Congrats, that's super awesome. Wondering if this is something I should pursue or if it's more of a hobby. Sun at 17 degrees Scorpio, moon at 25 of Pisces, ascendant 2 of Scorpio, north node 21 of Aqua. Huh, so you were born 2 days before me in 89? Is that correct? Let me know, very interesting. A little bit about Sun and Scorpio rising, especially because it looks like your Sun is sitting on your ascendant and your moon is in Pisces, somewhere around your 6th house. Listen, Scarlett, in the next year, Jupiter and Neptune are dancing with your moon, and it's going to give you the opportunity to segue into something that's going to be more the healing arts, and giving you the opportunity to work with, you know, moon figures like women, mothers, women who are trying to get pregnant, people who are dealing with digestional issues, emotional issues. So it's really great for you timing wise, especially you'll see this next spring when Jupiter really fully moves into your 6th house. Equally, you can do healing on pets, on animals. Yeah, you're literally born 2 days before me, the same year. So that's really cool. I was like, wait, I know those placements. So what I would say to you is yes, I know astrologically it's good. You do want to be mindful with Neptune on your moon that you are going to be very empathic and that you will absorb things. So salt baths become your best friend. Have a routine for opening and closing your energy channels so you're not absorbing stuff. I think it's going to be really great to see aspects going on between your first house sun and your sixth house, which is really working with the body. But you may equally benefit from learning other modalities, or I would say specifically, I would really love for you to look into foot reflexology and being able to read how the feet respond to things. Or I can't think of it right now, but it's like reflexology readings. Like there's a way to read people's energy where you look at how their feet and their legs and their bodies respond energetically, and you may take on another form of some kind of healing, okay? So here's what the cards say. Some similar cards of what we saw earlier. Judgment tells me you already made the decision to kind of like, you know, go in the direction of doing some kind of work like this. Did you up and say, this is going to be my life? Not necessarily, but you've already started taking active steps in that direction, and you made the decision to start integrating more of this into your day-to-day life. So that decision has been made. And it's also saying that because you've been trusting in spirit, or you've been trusting the process, or you've been like allowing this to kind of come together, certain things are going to start setting up for you, making it possible for you to do this. So yes, I believe that with the Eight of Wands reversed, it's saying you're like a little hesitant, or you're taking your time, or you're like, okay, I want to kind of like really start like building and doing more of this before I really segue and tell the world that this is what I'm doing. I'll go as far as saying this. You know, honestly, February through, let's say, maybe about June of next year is when you really could get into the groove of this. Intuitively, I feel like the challenge right now, though, is that you need a space to do this, or you're trying to figure out, like, well, where do I do this, or how do I do this, or, you know, what's going to be my angle. And what I would say to you is start putting that intention out there, because right now there's some energy that's not blocked, but a little bit stagnant or slower for some of this to manifest, because it's almost like you're sending mixed messages and you're like, I want to do it, I don't want to do it, I want to do it, I don't want to do it. And you need to find that sense of faith in really knowing that when you take the steps to do this stuff, that things are going to really shift and they're going to segue. Another thing is that, you know, your sun is so close to Pluto and Mercury is so close to Pluto that I feel like maybe like Reiki for you is like the gateway drug to spirituality, as it is for a lot of people. So, you know, not to talk badly about Reiki. Like I went and got all of my certification levels. I love it. I ended up integrating that with herbalism and other things. And I do my own kind of like high magic ceremonial healings. Basically, I call them arcane healings, where I work with the tarot and also the Kabbalistic tree of life on the body. And I work with those access points. And it's like super weird, but it's something that I've done for like a really long time, at least when I was seeing people in person the last couple of years. Anyway, for you, because you have that Sun Pluto, and it makes aspects to your Sun and transit Neptune, you can be like, you could do psychic surgery, you could do, you could become a medical intuitive, you could do healings for animals. Like there's a lot you could do. Equally, because usually those Scorpio suns in the first and sixth house, there's a lot that's like could branch into you learning about meditation, or you starting to integrate hypnotherapy because you have a Pisces moon. So these are just like bits and pieces of food for thought, that it may not be limited purely to just Reiki. And I would just say that there's just a lot going on in your chart. If you're interested in like getting a reading with me, because I know your astrology very well, I'm happy to talk with you. But I definitely think you're going in the right direction. I definitely think it will be successful. You have to trust in what's going on in your life right now, and that there is this opening where you feel like, okay, like, can I do work that can be successful and helping other people? Yes, the answer is yes. but you need a little bit of guidance on how to get there. And it looks like you're working with about a 6-month working time for that to really come together. You know, the end goal with some of the placements with a chart like yours is you're never going to stop learning. It's not like you're going to hit a level and go, okay, that's it. I never have to, you know, be continuing to learn about metaphysics or different types of healing. You want to keep going. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Let me check the PayPal, make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. Those of you guys who hung out and watched the live show the whole time, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with me. I know I was a little late today. It looks like somebody snuck in here really quickly, so this will be the last person I'm going to take. It's Stephanie Todman. Stephanie says, I have a location change at work coming, and I wanted to look into the vibe of the new location and the staff. She is a Libra rising, Sun in Cancer, Pisces moon. Libra rising, Pisces moon, same kind of setup. There's definitely brand new energy coming in. You're supposed to be moving into a better workspace. And I really get the impression that you're going to really love where you're working, Stephanie, especially from about February through July. You're going to be glad that you made the change. I think the people are going to be more peaceful. Equally, I feel like you're going to have a little bit more control, or there's going to be a little bit more of a say in your schedule. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. Many Libra risings are changing where they're working or their schedule or how they're working. And there's going to be something like this coming up revolving around the full moon. Pay attention because this is coming up very soon, okay? All right, so let's see what the cards have to say for you, Stephanie, about the new space and the new location. I mean, Temperance is basically saying it's like there's a lot of like waiting to hear from other people. There's like a lot of waiting for things to kind of come together. And it's all in due time. Like it's all coming together in divine union. You know, Six of Cups is like a lot of like sweetness, getting along with people. There may be younger people there. There may be a sense of you being like, oh, I remember what it was like to like, you know, work in a place where it was just like a little bit more calm and mellow and that you enjoyed it a little bit more. Six of Cups can also be talking about, you know, they are calling you back for something. So I don't know if you've already like solidified that you got the job or you're still waiting for the call back or if there's anything like that. But I definitely see this happening for you. And I also feel like, you know, the Six of Cups, it talks about just like a more positive kind of sweeter work environment, nicer people, getting along with people better, things like that. Then you have the Four of Coins reversed, which also makes me feel like maybe this is like you going part-time and not always feeling like you have the full responsibility of having to manage everything or having to manage everyone. Being in a situation where there isn't as much responsibility on you or as much management of details or money, that it gets like a little bit easier for you in some way. Like, you know, like solid work, like less responsibility, like a little bit more mellow. Jupiter is going to do that going into your 6th house. It's just going to take a little bit of time for you to fully feel that. So you'll start to see these shifts happening for you in the new year, even if you start the job sooner. Something about Libra season is kind of saying to me that, you know, there is a need for you to really focus on what you need and being clear about your boundaries and being clear about what you can and cannot do. And that's really important in the next month or two for you to get out there, because it's having all these planets in Libra having conversations with Neptune, which is like not overworking, not overstressing yourself out, prioritizing, staying to a schedule, staying on top of a schedule, and not allowing yourself to get kind of lost in everything that's going on in the workspace. Don't hold on too tightly to old ways of working. Don't hold on too tightly to, you know, how things used to be. If you were in an environment that wasn't very pleasant or wasn't working for you, try to leave that at the door, especially when you go into the new one. It's time to kind of like let it go and kind of be optimistic and open for a new environment, and trust that you may make some really great friends or some really great connections in the process of this job change. Like, I'm really loving it for you. I think it's gonna be great. Hey, Catherine, how's it going? Just reading your message. Annual payments, rejoin monthly, very cautious of the moments. Yeah, just send me an email. I'm happy to do that for you. Would you like your reading for the month? Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to close out this evening, and the next reading is going to be, I believe, next week, although don't quote me on that. I might move something around a little bit depending on what's going on with my traveling, but at some point I'll do another live and I'll schedule it and put it up for you guys. So the next one will be astrology. I'm not sure it's going to be Friday because I've got some stuff going on, but in the next week there's going to be another live. So if you would like to cash in on that one for astrology, then Catherine, we can do that, or I'm happy to read cards for you now. Just let me know. And if you want to send me an email, I'm happy to set it up so you can do something quarterly. Yeah, just shoot me an email. We can definitely do that if that's something you're interested in. Those of you guys who are tuning into my channel, I do have subscriptions. Check out my community tabs. Check out my subscription. Make sure you hit that like, comment, share, bell button so you're alerted when I am on. I do have something that is, you know, coming soon about this full moon in Pisces. I'm trying to get it out so you guys have enough time, but it's like, oh my goodness, this whole like last week has just been super wild for me. Yeah. All right, so if you want to wait until you're paid, no worries. Shoot me an email. I am happy to do that for you. We'll get you back on the subscriptions. If you want to book a reading with me, check out my links below, beyondtheveiltarot.com. Tarot, clairvoyant, and Western and predictive astrology readings. I've got some openings, I think in October, maybe end of October. I'm usually booked out about a month at a time. Sessions get really busy for me, guys, pretty much October through February, and I'm taking some time intermittently off because I'm getting married and the holidays, and there's like a lot of things going on. So if you're somebody who wants to get a reading for the end of the year, if you're somebody who wants to get a reading for the Mercury retrograde, book your sessions for October now, equally for the end of the year. If you've got a birthday coming up, if there's something you want to do, hop on my schedule. I'm happy to chat with you. Otherwise, you can catch me here usually on Fridays, or check my schedule and you'll be able to see when I'm coming live and doing these readings. The astrology ones are super fun, especially because I pull the charts live and I kind of talk to you about why I come to the conclusions that I come to. Working on some other content for you guys soon. And if you have not checked out my other channel for the Midheaven podcast, make sure to check that out. I usually have a podcast that comes out weekly. One's coming out soon that I did all in the Libra season and the Mercury retrograde. And I'll be doing a video just on my own channel for that pretty soon as well. I'm just, my schedule's nuts. I'm a Libra rising, so I'm all over the place. So thank you for being patient and bearing with me. I'm sure I will see all of you guys very soon. I hope you have a happy and healthy and fun weekend ahead. Make the most of that moon Jupiter before the full moon. And I will see all of you guys very soon. Take care.